Saturday morning here, reaching out from Florida, Southwest Florida. Uh, Hope everyone had a pretty decent week. I did. And woke up way too early this morning. That's all I know. Pretty much woke up at about 3:30. Those of you over 40, you know how it is. Your bladder wakes you up. And we don't always go right back to sleep now, do we? That's kind of the way it goes. So I laid there, pretty much laid there in bed for a while and decided to get up and get going. Probably about 4:30 or something like that. Because if I lay in bed for an hour or two, it's just miserable feeling. Pretty much um the thing that got me out of bed is that I thought I'd get up and have my coffee and just have a slow morning. I tell you, if you're British or you live in certain parts of the country, coffee is not a big part of your culture. Um, I know some places love their tea, but tell you what, I really, really like my slow mornings. When I do that, and my slow cup of coffee, and I can't say it's meditation time, but it's just time to kind of change gears and relax, have an easygoing kind of morning. Um, and I'd say, trying to fix my settings here. There we go. Sorry, guys. I'd say that's one of the best parts of my week is when I can have a day off. Mm, Right now, I have 3 days off a week on my work weeks, but I'm on day off when I can just totally take and have a slow morning. That's awesome because when I go to work, it's just go time. I get up, I still have my morning time, but then I got to get my shower and get dressed and all that stuff like the rest of the world, and just go. And I go nonstop for 10 hours, then get home and still go nonstop for a few hours. So the work days are busy. So I got to tell you, these weekend days off, when I can have a slow morning, man, it's so good. It's so good. So like I said, I was up at 4:30, let the cat outside to kind of explore. She was bouncing off the walls to do something. So as far as my cat, it's black and white cat. Her name is Luna, okay, and she is a Looney Tune. Um, but she either will bug me and want me to pet her and just kind of gets annoying. She's all over the place, all over me, or I can choose to let her outside. And definitely this morning, I chose to let her outside. And she loves to explore. And I can't figure that she really can sneak up on anything out there in the woods. Because really, hey, good morning, guys. How's everybody? Really, this cat does not have a predatorial instinct. This cat is just, it's got a bell. She's got a bell on her collar. I mean, what's she gonna sneak up on with a bell on her collar? I guess there's some idiot, maybe some, idiot mice out there, little rabbits or something. But pretty much she comes out there and, sneaks around and gets lizards. She eats a lot of lizards, right? And she tries to go after the lizards. So I guess that makes her a predator, right? These little lizards here in Florida are like this. I think they're called anoles or something like that. Um, and I got a side note about that. What's kind of funny is you can tell the tourists from up north. You don't have lizards up north here in the U.S. And they come when they come down and visit, you can see them taking photos of these lizards. And really, if you live here in Florida, they're everywhere. I mean, they're everywhere. These little lizards, and it's kind of funny to see people from Midwest and up north, and they see the lizards. We take them for granted, but I guess they're kind of cool. I remember the first time I saw lizards, so I get it. I was like about, gosh, 11 years old or something like that, and I thought they were pretty dang cool. Um, and also, I've been out to the desert areas, and the lizards are different out there. So, anyways, I digress. This cat, she's outside exploring, um, which concerns me sometimes because here in Southwest Florida, we have some hawks, man. We have some really big hawks, and those hawks can absolutely pick up a little cat in a minute. Um, Interesting note, and this is kind of a weird thing, is one time I was outside and there were all kinds of hawks that week. And I was outside and hanging in one of the palm trees about 3 feet off the ground, of all things, was a rabbit carcass that had been dropped from the sky. Mm-hmm. That day it was raining dead rabbits. I'd never seen nothing like that in my entire life, except it was a dang dead rabbit body, freshly bloody and everything, that a hawk had dropped. And I remember sitting on that porch, and about 40 minutes earlier, I heard like a in the tree. Didn't make nothing of it. And I was like, what the heck was that? I thought it was a bird. And then I was out there a little later talking to my girlfriend, and I walked past, and something red caught my eye, and it was dang, like half a rabbit hanging there in the bush in the palm tree. It's like I had never seen nothing like that before in my life. And I've seen a lot of weird things, but a freaking dead rabbit hanging in a tree. So yeah, something I hope to never see again is dead rabbits falling from the sky. That's kind of weird. But anyways, so yeah, I let the cat out because she can be annoying if I don't want to pet her and stuff like that. She's cool, but cats cats aren't my favorite. I know people here like cats. That's fine. But I'm much more a dog person. We don't have a dog right now. We'll get a dog one day. But yeah, here's to slow mornings. Alrighty. I wonder if anybody on here is actually more a tea drinker than a coffee drinker. So I like my black coffee. A little bit sweet. Use this stuff called stevia. Um, and I guess it's maybe better for you than sugar. Mm, yeah, all these artificial sweeteners are kind of different. Maybe not good for you. And I don't think stevia is an artificial sweetener. I think it's made from plant products. But yeah, it seems like I remember last year reading something about even stevia, that it could, the study said something like it could increase the risk of stroke. Okay. So, I mean, everything has a risk these days. Like even I was looking at these coffee pods, right? These Keurig coffee pods. Um, are you getting microplastics in your diet if you're using these Keurig coffee pods that are like hot? Of course, your hot water goes through this coffee pod. Is it actually putting microplastics in your body if you're drinking from a coffee pod? And even like the top of the coffee pod is glued on there. It's got like an aluminum thing on top of the Keurig. Also, the Nespresso pods have the same thing. They have like this glued lid, aluminum lid. So is the glue something that's toxic, or are you getting microplastics from the hot, contacting the plastic? I don't know. All I know is I had read something recently that they suspect that the average person has up to a credit card's worth of plastic in their body, and it's kind of wild stuff. I don't know if there's credence to that kind of data or that kind of information. So, anyways, yeah, good morning, everybody. I'm in East Coast time here in Southwest Florida, Sarasota, in fact. Anybody else here watching from the U.S.? Appreciate a shout out. If you're watching from another country, let me know where you're watching from. Um, I've had people on here before watching from the Philippines, and that's pretty darn cool. So, is anybody here watching from the US right now? And if you're not, I want to know where you're from too. Actually, just, those of you that are watching, and as long as you're not driving, if you're driving, don't text me and tell me where you're watching from. But anybody watching from the US or anybody watching from somewhere else? All right. As a matter of fact, so let me know, put in the comments. And I got to let this cat in because she hears me talking. And so we're going to let you see the cat here in a minute. Sorry about the dark, everybody. Or we're going to let Luna in the house because she's an absolute loony bird. Hey, hey, you want to come in? You hear me talking to somebody? All right, come on in. So, yeah, as I was talking earlier, you can hear Luna's jingly collar. I don't think I like her having the bell on it, but my partner, she likes the bell on the collar so she knows where the cat's at. That's whatever. Not a cat person, but it's a pretty cool cat. Um, yeah, so yeah, we've talked about, hey Luna, come here. Say hi to everybody. Hey, hey, you want to say hi to everybody? Hi. Yeah. Like I said, I'm just not a cat lover, but this one's cool. And she'll scratch me if I get her belly. Come here. Say hi. All right, cool. Um, so that's that. What I was talking about today so far is talking about the cat not being a predator, liking to go outside. Talking about lizards in Florida. Mm-hmm. People that visit from Wisconsin and Minnesota, never seen lizards before, and they pretty much love these little lizards here. We're used to them here in Florida. Talking about microplastics in your coffee pods. Don't know if they're in there, but I can imagine that the hot water touching the plastic and the glue and stuff like that. Maybe. I don't know. Talking a little bit about artificial sweetener. Mm-hmm. And also stevia. Mm-hmm. Seems like everything, even stevia is a plant-based product, but all this stuff seems to have risks involved. Risks. And you know what? Let's talk about risk. Alrighty. Life has risk involved. And I think we're geared toward avoiding risk. And there's so much information coming at us all the time that I wonder if we avoid risk too much, like playing it safe. All right, are we always playing it safe to the extent that it doesn't benefit us? Do we play it safe to the extent that it holds us back? Do we play it safe in our day to day because it's comfortable to do the routine? Do we play it safe because it's familiar? And um, what does playing it safe get you? Does playing it safe put you on the edge of invention? Probably not. Thomas Edison, he did thousands of thousands and thousands of experiments to get the light bulb, to get that filament just right in the light bulbs so they would work. And they used all kinds of chemicals and all kinds of metals and all kinds of concoctions and all kinds of products to try to get light bulbs to work, the little filaments. Um, yeah, he wasn't playing it safe. So does playing it safe, um, does it get you much? Now, there's times you got to play it safe. If there's any moms here, yeah, you got to play it safe for the sake of your kids. And there's times and seasons in our life where we play it safe. If you're a dude, responsible guy, you got to make a living for your family, it's probably smarter to play it safe and get that paycheck week to week. And you got to feed your family, you got to pay your bills and all that stuff, right? You got to take care of business. Take care of business. So you got to play it safe. Um, what does playing it safe get you? It gets you safe returns, gets you predictable returns in our culture, in capitalistic culture. Playing it safe gets you predictable returns. But I tell you, if you're an entrepreneur, business person, an inventor, someone who is kind of like a capitalist, um, playing it safe doesn't always get you. I'm wondering, I don't hang out with a lot of like CEOs and big business types, but playing it safe, I wonder, CEOs, some companies, they go through seasons just like people do. And, they increase their risk because they have to be on the edge of novelty, edge of invention, the edge of, you know, the edge of really making products that people desire. And I know in companies, they go through several iterations of what their product does, trying to appeal to the customer base. So I think in my life, there's so many times I've played it safe, and it's really caused me to lose more. It caused me to lose um, almost like an exploring spirit, almost like a spirit of invention or a spirit of growth. When you play it safe, you're protecting, you're holding back, and I can only afford so many regrets about playing it safe as a dad and a husband, because that was my role. I do remember I went to nursing school, started nursing school at 39 years old, and I still had to work. My ex-wife was very, very good to, you know, to basically support us on her income, because every semester of nursing school I had to work less and work less because it was pretty grueling. One of the hardest things I had ever done is nursing school. So it was a gamble, but I was betting on myself and betting on a better future, because, nursing's pretty decent income, reasonable income, and it's something I was called to do. So yeah, sometimes in life, though, when you play it safe, you lose more than you gain. Your potential is held back. Alrighty. Also, playing it safe. Uh, Let me see what my notes say about playing it safe. I'm wondering about comfort zones, because our comfort zones, um, are they for your protection? Well, what's the word comfort? It's for comfort. So I think in our society, in our world, in our day to day, we work, 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 and it turns out we go back to our comfort zones. We go back to our on a day to day basis. We go back to what's familiar, because our nervous systems as people are not geared toward constantly living in scary places. All right, we're geared toward protecting ourselves, protecting our clan, protecting our family. We're geared towards safety. But I think there's room for stretching your comfort zones. And when you stretch your comfort zones, it's a lot like a muscle. It's a lot like working out at the gym. You build that ability to stretch your comfort zones over time. It's like stretching. It's like yoga. You first start doing yoga, man, you're tight. You can't do these moves. You're sore. It hurts. You just can't stretch. But you stretch over time, and you stretch that ability to do those. You expand your ability to do those stretches and those moves. And I think the same thing goes with comfort zones. Um, so, do you have people in your lives that help you to stretch your comfort zones, help you to see that you're relying too much on your comfort zones and you're living too much in your comfort zone? And man, I got to say, the US is so much geared toward living in comfort, living in comfort. You guys, let me know. Anyone in the comment section, let me know where you're at. Are you in the US? Are you somewhere else in the country? Hi guys. Good morning, everybody. I'd like to know if anyone's, where you're at, where you're coming from, watching this cool video, or being cool enough to watch my video. Okay. Um, so talking about comfort zones, there are times in life, like in your 20s, you can afford to make mistakes. You can afford to goof up repeatedly, okay? Because there's a lot more runway, there's a lot more wiggle room. You can screw up, get back on your horse, get your giddy up back, and do something new. Screw up again, nearly blow up your career, do something new. Start with a new company, change majors in college, change directions. That's just what your 20s are about, right? You're just kind of testing, exploring, testing, revamping, trying to figure out your identity. Um, and I'd say not a lot of people in their 20s. I mean, they're geared toward a good time, geared toward kind of pushing the edge. 30s, you start to explore those comfort zones, especially if you have a young family. You got to settle in and protect those areas and really um, protect and keep safe your family and the things you've worked hard for. So yeah, comfort zones. I don't think they protect me. Um, they protect me when I'm tired. Comfort zones protect me when I'm pushed to the max, and then you want to sit back and maybe grab your phone and play a video game or talk to familiar people. These are comfort zones, right? Sit in familiar places in the house, go to familiar restaurants. Comfort zones, things that ground us, right? Um, but there are times in life when we're going through seasons and we got to get out of our freaking comfort zone, and we got to stretch and push the boundaries, and we really got to try hard to not set in our comfort zone. Times when it's time to reinvent our career or bring in other sources of income, or get creative about our income, get creative about dating, meeting people, get creative about our exercise routines, get creative about our spiritual growth, get creative about what makes us a better person. So yeah, comfort zones can big time freaking um, be the opposite of protection. They can kind of hamper you and hold you back. So that's what I'm thinking a lot about this week, is just like the duality of well, yeah, I mean, if you're working all the time and you want to have time of rest and stuff like that, but if you're in the growth mode, you also want to have times where you're pushing those boundaries, which is kind of the opposite of comfort zones. And it's uncomfortable putting yourself out there in front of strangers, putting yourself out there in front of new groups, putting yourself out there in front of new concepts. Holy cow. And it even here in the US, there's so many people right now that put their hat on a certain political movement, and guess what? It's not playing out like they intended it to. So all of a sudden, they're not in their comfort zone because everything they thought this political movement would be is kind of not what you planned it out to be. And you're looking like, oh, I've been duped by these politicians, by these business people. I've been duped. All right. Then all of a sudden, these people are like, ah, you know. So they were in their comfort zone of their political ideology. Now they got to push out. They got to push out and realize, okay, this isn't what I thought it was. All right. Let me see what else I wrote notes on here, friends and neighbors. Anybody else watching from the US this morning? Um, when I say I'm not ready, when I say I'm not ready for something new or something different, what's that mean? Well, it means I'm waiting for the perfect time, the perfect opportunity. It means I'm waiting for the situation, my surroundings to be ideal, and they're not going to be ideal. So the point is if I say I'm not ready for growth, I'm not ready for something, and I'm playing it safe, I'm sitting there, and I'm not moving. And here's another one of those things. There's two sides of every coin. You can play it safe and sit and stay stationary or move very slowly and grow slowly, or you can move and you can get movement going in your life, and you can grow before you're ready. You can make changes before you're ready. These are uncomfortable situations a lot of times, but sometimes we have to make changes before everything's ideal in our lives. Sometimes we have to make a move, and then we realize we have the capacity to handle the move. Sometimes we have to stretch our own boundaries before we're ready for that stretch, but we move into that space way before we're ready. If you waited for every time you're ready to do something, man, it so much limits us. And there's so many times in my life I've talked myself out of good things. I've talked myself out of starting businesses, or I've shut businesses down, shut down my opportunities because I had some obstacles. And I just kind of took that as reading the tea leaves. Oh, it didn't work out. This isn't for me. Instead of staying in it and staying in it in being in an uncomfortable space. Because sometimes you stay in an uncomfortable space to meet your goals. And you may not be fully ready, but that's what you do is you push the boundaries on what you're capable of. You push the boundaries on what your capacity is. You push the boundaries on what you maybe have to build, the supports you have to build for maybe a business idea that you have, for maybe a new opportunity that you have for your family. You push the boundaries for maybe where you want to grow in your life spiritually. You push the boundaries for how you want to be kind to others, how you want to lift other people up and not be a douchebag and bring other people down. Um, so yeah, let's see what we got here. How many opportunities in our lives hide behind discomfort? Yeah, there's been so many times where I would start an opportunity, get well underway for maybe a business idea, and then it gets uncomfortable and I stop. Man, I already had the ball rolling. So why would I stop? Why would I take and become paralyzed by one or two obstacles? You have to, when you get knocked down, when you fall down, you have to get back up. When you trip up, you have to get back up. Sometimes you lay there and you say, how did I end up on this ground looking at the sky or tasting dirt and facing face down on the ground? How did I end up here? Doesn't mean you're going to stay there. And you can say real quick, how did I end up here? But you get yourself back up again. So how many opportunities hide behind uncomfortable situations? And so we push our boundaries in past the uncomfortable situation, past the how it makes our nervous system feel, past how it makes us feel kind of jacked up and anxious. So opportunities do hide behind uncomfortable situation and discomfort. In regard to business, in regard to education, in regard to expanding your boundaries, bettering yourself, I think it's important to start before you're ready. I think it's really important, oftentimes, to start before you're ready. Even in the YouTube creation space, right? Social media, you just got to do the reps, do the reps. Sometimes you do a 5K, and if you're, in shape enough to get out there and exercise, you exercise, and maybe you walk most of that 5K. Maybe you walk most of that first couple of foot races, right? Maybe you don't go out there, being barn burners as far as tearing it up, but you're doing something before you're ready. And there's an important thing to that, because what does that do is it gets some momentum, it gets movement. So start before you're ready is some really good advice in a lot of areas in life. I had a guy tell me years ago, he said every time he was like a crane operator. Good morning. Every time he was a crane operator, and I said, how'd you get into operating these cranes? He was operating these big cranes in the cities for construction. And he said every time that his company that he worked for had any kind of training on any kind of machine, he would take it. He would take up on that training. He would take up on that on the job training. And that expanded his skill set and made him very valuable over the years and years of a career. And it lifted him up to where he was able to be kind of the guy that the boss called on when he needed something done, or needed a machine worked on or whatever. All right, enough on that. Heard a quote that playing it safe. Good morning, Cole. Where are you calling from, Cole? Playing it safe is fear wearing a responsibility outfit. Playing it safe is fear wearing an outfit of responsibility. Think about that. If what people see you is an outfit of responsibility, the trappings of responsibility, the appearance of responsibility, are you playing it safe? Are you holding back on your own opportunities, things that might make you grow? Playing it safe is fear wearing a responsibility outfit. That's so deep. I can't even think about it this early on a Saturday morning. Luna, come here. Come here. I want to show you guys this here crazy cat. Come here. Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? Hi, did you get us any beasties? Did you get us any creatures this morning? All right, so this is Luna. Luna's a pretty cool cat, but she is not a predator. She gets lizards. That's all Luna gets is lizards, right? She gets attention. Like I said, I'm not the biggest cat fan, but she'll do. She'll do just fine. Alrighty. So nobody told me this morning, hey, I'm from the Philippines, or I'm in Vietnam, or I'm in Zimbabwe. I tell you what, I think I will absolutely have made it. Have made it once I get a viewer from Zimbabwe, right? Madagascar. That would be cool. I think that's what I'm going to aim for, is getting a viewer from Madagascar. Alrighty. So you guys help me get there. If you like my blathering on this morning. And it's funny because I had someone a little bit ago, shut up. They said, shut up. And that person was so hungover. The person that said, shut up, was so hungover they didn't realize they could change the channel from me blathering on. Oh, they had a busy, crazy Friday night party and shut up, man. Just change the channel, dude. You don't have to listen to me. There's lots and lots going on YouTube. Shut up. Yeah, I think some people are in a rough patch. They're in their head. Bad space, dude. Bad space. So yeah, if you were the guy that said shut up, or the girl that said shut up, first of all, take your medication. Second of all, rewind and actually listen to some of the stuff I said. Listen to it. Right? Anyways, I wish all you guys a very happy weekend. And let's root for one day Glenn getting a viewer from Zimbabwe or Madagascar. All right. This is a good, reasonable goal. It might take a while, but we're going to start before we're ready. Okay. Cool. You guys have a great week. You can do so much more than you're holding yourself back from doing. All right. Go after that success and peace out. Everybody, peace out.